is it possible for monks to have a wife?
Yeah, that's why Tibetan Buddhism is a supermarket. We have one tradition where they follow the Guru Padmasambhava's tradition, which is a saint that came from India who brought Buddhism to Tibet also. And he has one school in Tibet which is called Nyingma. And practitioners, they are also, they can give wife, and that's more like a Tandrayana. So, and they have different ways of looking at women and basically having intercourse and all these things. It's very spiritually they do it.
There's a man standing before you with a gun in his hands. And it says your money or your life. What do you do?
If he has a gun and he's here, and he says money to me,
your money or your life,
or my life, yeah, it's it depends upon how much money I have, and also depends upon what kind of person it is. If it's a very, very strong guy, I would just give it. Otherwise, I would try to have some self-defense. In the best case, yeah, if I could get safe. But if I have some little money, I would just give it and solve the problem simply in a peaceful way. Well, sometimes I saw once one Japanese nun, in Dharamsala.
Yeah.
But she's a Buddhist. She has followed Tibetan Buddhism, and there was one Indian guy was asking her to pay more, and normally he was asking kind of a double to that, because she's a Japanese, and I was there, and I said, I was trying to solve this problem with this guy. I was saying, hey, you shouldn't ask too much, because you can ask a little bit, maybe 75%, but not 100% out of like 50, and then okay, if you ask a little bit, it's okay. But and then this Japanese nun was saying, she just paid, all, and she said, oh, it's fine. He needs it, and maybe he needs it, and then it's also too much problem to discuss. And I thought, wow, and the problem was solved, and this guy was happy, and I was also not in a situation. So I thought sometimes you have to give them, and then it's problems can be solved. And also to remember that these things cannot happen always, I think that's very much also, that's how I rely on also different problems that I have in my life. Sometimes I have some big sufferings, some problems that you have also, which we all people, human beings, are same. So we have this stress or some situations, very heavy ones, or if you are sick. But we look at more like sickness is impermanence, or in these problems are impermanence, and it can stay for some time, not more than 3 months, which we would know it, because according to the problems, or it can last for 3 years. So if you know that, then why you have to freak out as if it's gonna last forever? So in that way, I think we always do analyze the problems, the cause, the result, and the present situation. That's how you can control the problems or crisis in your life, Otherwise, you have a crisis, and then you take it so great deal, big deal kind of, and then you make it a big. And that's why I'm saying you have to be very lucky to face this if you want to make it very big, because in a worse situation, the problems becomes very big, and then you completely disappear in it. In a sense, someone can suicide,
Mm-hmm.
although you know that this is not lasting forever, so why you have to suicide, Dalai Lama says to his advice also, that he says, we know that human beings, when we were born, we were completely dependent on human beings, which is tend to be your parents. It is, even though it's a parent, but it's still a human being, and you are completely dependent on the human beings for other person, if you take it as other person. And then you grow up, you become mature, and then you go run your whole life, and then you become very individualistic. You think you don't have to depend on anything. You just think you will always live permanently, almost, you can imagine. And then you just become very, very rude. And at the end, when you are dying, when you are old, very old, 70, 80, 90, and then you are back to the human affection, you are dependent on them, because in the worst case you are put in a senior citizenship house, which is, again, it is a form that you are put in a group of people, so that and then there's some care nurse and things are coming. So when we know that we are from the beginning until the end, you are in human beings, dependent on human affection, which is your own happiness depends upon others. So others' happiness is also depend on you. And that's why do we become in the bad in the middle? So we should be always be nice to everybody, because you start with a good dependent, and then you end up with a dependent. So when you make it whole big good harmony, then you have a good life, and then at the end you won't be end up in some senior place, and you will have a lot of nice people who will regard and who will take care. People like Gandhi or Dalai Lama, these people has done a lot, and they are always loved by people. They were not, people don't want them to die even, they pray for them. And they are still human beings who have achieved such things. I think everybody can do these things, even though there is not millions of people who loves you, but at least you will achieve 10 people.
That's a lot.
That's enough. One person is also enough.
Yeah. Thank you for the interview.
Thanks for letting me sharing some of my thoughts about my culture, and how lucky to be myself and to be here in Belgium, and many good things I can express. Thank you.